Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a video response to a comment that was in one of my videos. It was the video where I talk about laser welding. If you haven't seen that video, link in the description, check it out. The comment was from Skyler Phoenix, and Skyler Phoenix has a pretty rare collectible Omega Speedmaster Mark IV, and that's a watch that came out in 1973 and just ran for 1 year. And you can see it right here. Let's look at some aspects of the watch. There's a date at the 3 o'clock, 2 subdials. At the 6, there's a 12-hour subdial. Not sure why you would need that. There's no totalizer. I think that could have been used for a totalizer. At the 9 o'clock, there is a subdial, and that's the running seconds, but you'll see the marks are for a 24-hour indicator, and that's in the center of the subdial, that little arrow. So I guess you could use it sort of like as an AM PM indicator. So I can see why they only made it for about a year, because no totalizer, not really that useful subdials. So be that as it may, it's a pretty collectible watch, and just having been made 1 year, you know, you can imagine it would be something that many Omega fans would want to get a hold of. And he has one, all right? And so this is his comment that he wrote: "Allow me to introduce you to another kind of watch snob, the true owner." So I think what he's saying is that the purist who may not be so keen on the idea of laser welding is one type of watch snob, but then there's another, the true owner, of which he considers himself, but not me. I don't qualify for the true owner, as we'll see. I think so many purists, quote purists, think in terms of no to light, regular wear, and not hardware for which sport, Rolexes, Omegas, and others were originally built, but instead are obsessed with the day they will no longer want their watch, as if it is inevitable. Well, there will unfortunately come a day when you no longer need your watch, when you die. Well, you still want it probably, but that's not really what he's talking about. He's talking about the idea of flipping in the future, all right? The true owner has no intent of flipping or selling or reintroducing his watch to the market. He wants to continue to wear his watch forever. He's fallen in love with it, and it's been on his wrist reliably in the most trying of conditions. But it is beat up, decayed, rusted, broken, far beyond scratches and fading and dings, and in need of maintenance. Then what? I wore my Omega Mark IV. That was a high school graduation present throughout my Air Force career. It went through, and then he lists many adventures and trying conditions that his watch endured with him as he had his career and his training and skydiving and becoming an instructor and so forth. And again, check out the description of this video. But just to save time, we'll skip to where he starts talking about the watch. And this is the fate of that highly collectible 1973 Omega Speedmaster Mark IV. "It is now off in Switzerland, sent there by my AD with instructions to, quote, make it like day one again. This is not a watch that just shows character. It looks like a zombie and barely runs. The date won't even flip anymore, and there's rust in it. I love the idea of this new concept, making it look new again." And he's talking about laser welding. All right, so we're going to just pause there for a second before we get to the offensive part of his comment. But look, if you take a vintage piece to a service center, particularly Rolex, they're infamous for this, that's exactly what they'll do, or try to do. They'll want to make it look like day one, as new as possible. That to them is integrity, all right? Not keeping things original, but making things look new and schmicko, all right? And the newer looking, the better. So assuming they have the parts. So if you took your piece to an AD and said, make it like day one again, they'd say, no problem, we're on the same page. We'll put a replacement dial in it, we'll change the hands, we'll replace the hands, get rid of those old ones. We'll replace the bezel insert or the bezel. Hell, they'll put on a brand new band if they have a brand new bracelet, get rid of that old one, that original one. They'll polish up that case as best they can, and it will come out looking brand new. But all those vintage, valuable parts are gone, and you will have a watch that is far less valuable than the one you took them. And if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine, but you're just kind of pissing money away if you ask me. And again, if you look at these watches like horological artifacts, in my mind, you're compromising the integrity of the watch because it's less original. It's less true to how it was when it left the factory. And I'm not just coming at it from a, you know, you're not going to be able to get as much money down the road for it position. I'm coming at it from what I think is integrity. And again, that's wrapped up in originality. So here's the part that kind of made me bristle a bit, because I think he totally misrepresents me. Perhaps he just doesn't understand me. Anybody seeing my past videos probably would take issue of this characterization of me, but let's see what he says. All your arguments against laser welding are because you're not in love or haven't relied on your watch enough in your life or career. You do make one consolation when you talk about throw it away or do something. And that's what I said about perhaps one reason why you might want to consider laser welding. And that's if you have a Rolex watch and you can't wear it anymore, it's got 3 of the 4 lugs. And so really it sits in a drawer, or you have it laser welded, you only really have 2 choices. I guess you could find or source a new case for it. But that could be tough. So laser welding, just to get it on your wrist and bring it back to life, that I think is fine. And so he is mentioning that. But I think putting it that way doesn't recognize enough such owners who want to restore their watches to near pristine condition because they have no intention of sending their watch back to the market, and their watch is way past scratch and ding. They are true owners. All right, so maybe he just hasn't seen my videos when I tromp around Southeast Asia with my Explorer 2. I mean, I love that watch, and to insinuate I've never experienced horological love is ridiculous. But look, maybe he just doesn't know about my videos, and I really want to focus on the fact that he tends to be making the argument that I'm saying you want to keep things original and as close to new old stock because the value. It's all about the money. No, I mean, the money and the value of the watch is certainly a consideration, and I wouldn't want to devalue my watch, and you know, I wouldn't want to devalue it for my heirs or just you know, for its own sake. I wouldn't want to devalue it. But aside from that, even if these watches didn't really devalue that much, if you started putting replacement parts on them, which they do, I still would want to keep it as true to the original as possible, okay? Just because I think that's special. You know, replacing parts isn't. Anybody can do that. Anybody can have a watch polished and laser welded and scrounge up replacement parts, especially if they're still being produced. There's no game in that. What's special is finding a watch and keeping it and maintaining its originality. And so, you know, there's no going back from replacement parts, but you know, you can always do that if that's what you really want to do. So it's not all about the money. Now, I'll just end by saying that he seems to be saying that he loves his watches more than I do, and for that reason, he wants some new. And I guess what it comes down to is an expression of love. How do you express it? For me, an expression of horological love to a piece would be keeping it as original as possible, and in that way maintaining what I think is integrity, but loving it despite its wear, and really loving it for its wear and the history on the watch, and looking at those those marks and hairline scratches and dings and dents as part of the identity of the watch and part of, you know, a visual representation of the life it lived with you. And all those on your 1973 Omega are going to be gone. Forget about the value. Forget about the money that you pissed away. All right? It doesn't look like the watch that it did before you sent it to the service center. And if I were your heirs, okay, again, forget about the money. I would want to see those dings and marks and think, Dad put those on when he was skydiving, and Dad did this and Dad did that. That is Dad's history right there. I can touch it. I can feel it on my fingertips. And for them to get a spruced up piece, I think that's a shame. And I would say that your expression of love is kind of selfish. You want to make it new for yourself. I mean, forget about the piece, forget about the integrity that you're sacrificing. You know, if you want to make some sort of analogy, okay, let's do it. What do you think is a truer form of love? Marrying a woman and loving her until her old age, wrinkles and all. Or like what Skylar Phoenix did horologically, you know, at the age of 50, turning to her and say, you know, you really got to get some implants because the drooping just isn't working for me anymore, and neither are your wrinkles. Get that taken care of. Here's some money. I'm going to send you to a plastic surgeon because I love you. That's not love. That's not love. So, you know, I question your definition of horological love, and I question what you did. And my take on this is probably you made your move, then you found my video, and you're trying to justify what I think is one of your biggest horological mistakes. And if you make a horological mistake, that's fine, but don't try to come up with some weird philosophy to try to justify it. Own it. I screwed up with my 14060. Okay, I replaced the bezel. It has a Luminova pip in it anymore. That's a screw up. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't make a mistake. I learned from it, and look, this is a screw up on your part. Okay, I don't think anybody is gonna tell you in the comment section, and you know, please do comment and let Skylar know what you think. Let me know what you think. This wasn't a good move. If you had just had them get the watch working, okay, forget about the case, don't have it polished, don't replace the hands, don't replace the dial. If you want to have it redialed, I wouldn't do that, but okay, maybe if it's just so destroyed, I can see doing that. But the way you phrased it, it seems like you're okay with replacement parts. I would have gotten the watch serviced, perhaps through an independent, and asked for a historically sympathetic service, keeping it as original as possible. And as far as those dings go, I'd say don't touch them. Don't touch them. That's the history of the watch. We made this together. They're staying. Okay, and then when it goes to your heirs and goes on, you know, that person, that owner can make that decision. And if your heirs want a brand new watch because they don't like the way Dad used it, they can polish it. Okay, my guess is they wouldn't, especially if they understand what it means. If they come at it from a purist or somebody that understands originality and what that means for a vintage piece. But even if they don't, you know, to take away that history that you made with it by polishing it, I don't even think they would do that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Skylar, hey, you know, enjoy your new piece. Different philosophies, different horological philosophies. That's what it's all about. And you're a different critter than I am, but that's okay. It makes the world go around. And enjoy your piece when you get it back. It'll look new, and that's what you want. So take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.